And we're live here.
Hello. And
It's okay. So we're
I
live here
jumped
with
in.
Elster and with Andy Bedell. Guys, I'm going to let you take the stage because we are already late. So there you go.
Thank you. I'm Kurt Elster, host of the unofficial Shopify podcast. I have been working in Shopify and e-commerce for the last decade. And before that, I've been doing e-commerce for most of my adult life. And today I wanted to bring with me one of my good friends and master marketer in e-commerce, Mr. Andy Bedell from KeySmart, getkeysmart.com. And actually, just so you can see this guy's for real and cooking with gas, I want to share my screen with you so you can see that. There we go. Screen sharing. So he has worked for years to sell this really amazing product, and they've expanded it out. It's called KeySmart. You've probably seen this thing. It's very clever. I really enjoy it. Oh, you could see it. So this is all in Shopify. Mr. Bedell, tell me, what the heck is KeySmart? Let's start with that, just so we can establish who we're dealing with here.
Yeah, so KeySmart is a key organizer. So I have mine right here. This one is actually a partnership with Star Trek. So you can see the Star Trek logo right there. So we're getting into more licensing, and we're looking at possibly some Disney and NFL licensing for next year. Jumping a little ahead of myself. So KeySmart is a key organizer. So you can basically unscrew the sides. This is like basically just a screw. You can unscrew the screw right there and then put your regular keys inside. It was, I was working in advertising, and my friend invented this. He's like an engineer, and he CNC'd the product himself and put it up on Kickstarter, and it did 330,000 without any ads. This was back in 2012, so it was like basically one of the, yeah. So it was Roy says he has one in the chat. But so yeah, it was one of the original viral Kickstarters. It just went nuts. I honestly had nothing to do with it. So my friend told me about it, and I remember I thought, wow, he's like, oh, it'd be like a Swiss Army knife, but you can put your keys inside. And I was like, oh, my thought was like, oh, that's a good idea, but it will fail. You always kind of hate on people who are trying things. But I thought it would fail. I didn't think and then I'm not really too much of a gadget guy to be honest. But I ended up getting one for free because I worked there. And then once I got one, I was like, actually, this is very, very useful. And now, if they fired me, I definitely would buy one. I don't have any reason to buy one right now, but
how did you get involved and what do you do at KeySmart? Since you didn't come up with it, you didn't run the Kickstarter, and you don't like gadgets. What are you doing here?
Okay, well, my point was that it's actually just a very useful gadget that people really, really like. And so I work in advertising, and my friend invented it. We went to grade school together, and I said, hey, I could see that they were, I helped them set up some, the Google Analytics and some other stuff, and they were on Shopify, and I could see that their ads just were not set up right. And so I set up the ads on Facebook, and we were able to kind of like triple their revenue within like basically like a week or two. So we went from doing like $5,000 a day to $15,000 a day to $25,000 a day. And that was kind of like the heyday of, it was really early on in Facebook video ads. And I remember just being kind of shocked at how well it was doing. And then we were able to continue to scale that up into like an eight-figure business on Shopify. So since then, we've kind of scaled from just KeySmarts to we have the KeySmart Pro with tile location tracking. We're doing some licensing. We have wallets and a backpack that you have the backpack, and I know that you like the backpack. So we've really scaled into a full full service. Yeah, so go buy a backpack. No, but if we really have service, switched into a full service line of products. EDC.
So tell me, give me a range, give me some kind of feel on the kind of ad spends, the kind of Facebook budgets that you're dealing with and talking about here.
Sure. Yeah. So, for KeySmart, I think everybody likes to hear the big numbers. So the most we've ever spent in a month, I think, is about 1.5 million, or maybe, I think around there, 1.5 million. That, of course, that was December timeframe. So our budgets scale up and down depending upon we're not one of these brand advertisers that just has I've worked for other brands where they just have a $50,000 a month is what we spend, and we spend it whether we're doing good or bad. We really have an unlimited ad budget, and we scale up or down depending upon what we're seeing in the markets. But an average month, I'd say we're spending around $400,000 to And then I also work with other, I have a small advertising agency on the side where I work with other clients where we're spending, usually under $100,000. But I've worked with a ton of, ton of different people, not just KeySmart, but I've had a lot of experience in advertising. And I was managing, like $10 million budgets, University of Chicago Business School before this. So I've had a lot of experience with paid advertising in pretty much every form you can imagine.
You have successfully convinced me to listen to you. Tell me how, this is like the big question. One interesting thing as a marketer right now is we know what is top of mind for probably 98.9% of people, and it's the global pandemic we're experiencing right now. How have you been affected by it in terms of marketing, advertising, etc.?
Yeah, I'd say that, to start, there wasn't, much effect, for KeySmart, for my team, I have videographer and videographers and scriptwriters that work for me. And we do meet in Chicago, but we're kind of dispersed, we're from home. So just as far our team goes, it hasn't affected us too much as far as our workflow. But on the manufacturing side, we're about 4 to 8 weeks behind on new products coming out. So all of our new products that we had planned, they're going to be about at least 4 to 8 weeks behind. And that was because the virus affected China first. And now we're seeing the other side where demand is starting to get affected, right? So we're starting to see, last Monday was when we first saw, a drop, like a big drop in performance. And that was, coincided with, I can't remember, it was like a 10%, 10% drop in the stock market that day or something like that. And that was when, after New York and Chicago and everybody had come out and said that they're, shelter in place. So for us, we saw a big, we saw about a 50% decline in our revenue, which is, a big chunk. But if I can, let me see if I can share my screen real quick. We recently, we've been trying to figure out, it hasn't been horrible, but we've been trying to figure out, what we can do in the meantime. And if I can show my screen.
And I think that's the question the question people are wondering is, hey, what kind of impact is this having? And what I've seen is the data is disparate. So you said, all right, we dropped 50%. Well, that's terrifying. I've seen other people are like plus or minus 10%. I've seen people who drop 90%. It's all over the place. It's so dependent on what you sell and who your audience is.
Yep.
But
and if I could jump in real quick and just say that, so for KeySmarts, we've definitely seen, they're still selling, but we've seen ad prices come way down. So we are seeing that the ad prices have come down, but also demand has come down. So we're not spending as much on advertising. We're down to like $1,000 a day on advertising. But we have recently seen, we did an email yesterday. We had this little stylus. Unfortunately, I don't have one on me, but we have this little stylus, and I couldn't figure out how to share. Oh, actually, I think I can share screen right here. Share screen. There we go. Application window. There we go. So we have this little stylus that we've made for the KeySmart a while ago. And it's like, just like, a little, can you guys see that that's on the screen I'm sharing?
Yeah. Oh, that's
cool. Okay. Yeah. So we have this little stylus that was, actually just we originally made it as like kind of a little accessory that you'd be able to make like fun, Snapchat and everybody makes these like stories where they have like, fun stuff going on. So we originally made it as like, a way that you could make really creative stories, but we've repurposed that as a way that you can actually get through purchasing things without ever having to touch, the touch screens. And so we saw yesterday, we did about $10,000 in sales on that product. And so now we're gearing up to, to advertise that product. So like you said, it really depends on what you're selling.
Core question one then is it okay to market during a pandemic?
Yeah, I think so. I think you should. Well, I think it's okay. Couple thoughts there is you should continue to run your advertising. It's just see if it's based. If you're looking at if you're a ROAS based marketer or advertiser where you run your ads based on the return on ad spend, you should continue to just look at the return on ad spend and make sure that you're hitting your goals. And then if you're not hitting your goals, obviously turn off and try something else. Now, then the other question comes in is like, what's like the proper way to advertise? Like, so I talked to Facebook on, I think, Monday, and they said that, they recommended that you can switch up your ads to have like little lines of text that say, still shipping out, during the pandemic, or we still have, we can still ship on time. Talk that you say that you're still in service. That's what they're recommending. So adding like little lines of text or, a little bit that says, hey, we're still in operation is definitely fine. Now, I would say that if you're kind of going in and you're like kind of doing like kind of fear mongering stuff, and that can be, can somewhat be crossing the line. Like, oh, you need this key smart, for whatever reason, when it's not really true. Or, I've gotten a ton of emails that somewhat ring kind of hollow, from people like, like this. I got an email from like a text message service, like, oh, we're here for you right now, in this time of need. And I'm like, why the hell do I care here for?
I think we've all gotten personal emails from the CEOs of like everything, from Best Buy and State Farm Insurance and every ridiculous company. Like, hey, here's how we're like. I don't need my local bank to tell me like, oh, here's how we're handling it with reduced hours. Like, thanks. I mean, I think now more than ever, it is cool to be human. You need to be a little bit, at least, empathetic to what people are experiencing. And I like Facebook's approach, which is to reassure people with stability. Just being like, hey, we're still shipping. You acknowledged it without having to say the C word, coronavirus, or the P word, pandemic, and freak people out. But you still need to address it because that's top of mind for them. Like, they don't know if they're seeing a new ad, recent ad, if it's even going to ship. So, okay, we do have to address it a little bit in that sense. So it's okay to market during a pandemic as long as you are sensitive and human and reasonable about it. Facebook ad costs are going way down. I think this represents an opportunity. More eyeballs than ever on social media. Some people doing retail therapy. Some people looking for entertainment. And a lot of advertisers made decisions out of fear and cut their budgets. So now suddenly we can advertise cheaper than ever. So I think if you have a product that still makes sense, and in some cases it's like toys, puzzles, games for kids, sporting goods for working out indoors, entertainment related stuff. We've seen apparel is still doing really well. People still got to get dressed for those Zoom calls, right? Like I am in fact wearing pants right now. But the really clever people are the ones who are able to pivot to things that help right now. So we work with a detailing company, Adams Polishes. They retooled. They are now selling hand sanitizer, disinfectant, hand wash, hand soap. So if you're lucky where you can retool quickly, or you can acquire supply that's related but necessary, or like you, where you happen to have a product where you're like, all right, we can just kind of tweak the positioning on this a little bit. So you think that has helped you?
Yeah, so that definitely has helped us. Luckily, some people someone on Twitter actually came up with the idea. They just said that they had a stylus, and that they were using it to prevent from touching everything. And then also our CEO, his dad had recently had cancer, so he's immune deficient or whatever they're calling it now. And so for him, he actually did use this diet, immunocompromised. Yeah. So he actually has been using this like in his real life for this purpose since the coronavirus came around. So we kind of heard some stories about, they were like, well, just try it as an email. And then the email did really well, and now we're running ads for it. So yeah, we weren't purposely looking to pivot, but we probably, now thinking it's like, oh, we probably should have been. So if you have, I know, and there's also some, like you just said, like there's some companies that have really been able to, have seen crazy demand as just by positioning their thing the right way. Like I have a friend that, I think you work with Illuminate, right? With Michael Park. Yeah, you have, they were a Shark Tank company, and they do like lanterns, like solar powered lanterns. And for them, I know demand has gone through the roof for something like this, because they've just been kind of positioning it as like, something that they actually had to turn off their ads for a little bit, but there've been, people are seeing like, oh, well, this is something that I would need in case of, disaster and something like that. So if you have something that's, if you have a survival item, or if you have, I guess apparel, just because people always buy apparel, they might be bored shopping there or something like that. But if you have something, just keep trying things out. For us, this really, there's some things that are working that weren't working before, obviously, and now other things that were working before that aren't working. But by pivoting, it has definitely helped us stay relevant and keep our revenue numbers high and profit numbers high.
So what marketing activities are working right now? What marketing activities are you going, all right, this is what we got to double down on?
Yeah, I mean, so I think the biggest thing is emails are still working. So we're still sending out emails and they're still working well. But the question, you kind of come into the, like, you can't send out, we don't want to be sending out, a ton of emails, right? So we've still been sending, we still send out like one email a week. We can't really scale that effort that much without getting really annoying and then like losing people on the email list. So I'd still say if you send out a regular email, you can still send out emails. They don't have to be coronavirus related. You can just keep them still, you can write something about coronavirus, but you can also just write, a normal email. We had a multi-tool accessory that came out and we sent out emails for that and they still did well. We did like a spring sale right before the real, panic started hitting and that did well. So I'd definitely say, keep emailing people. And then, then I'd still say, the advertising channels that were working before will probably still work, but, they maybe are at like, I would just maybe, if they're not working at your current spends, I'd cut your spends in half or lower them and then just get to a baseline where they're working again, profitably for you and then scale up. Also just, changing up your video content, changing up your text. So it's, talking about, that we're still shipping, we still have people working. So things like that. And then if you do, some marketing tactics. I know, like, Nomad is a friend, is a company that's a friend, and this isn't really as much of a marketing tactic, but they're basically, they've switched around their the factory that they're working with is now making medical supplies, and so they've kind of switched around to start, basically, they have this kind of like whole donation medical supplies thing going. So while they're not, maybe not making money off that because they're donating their money, they are still using their efforts to do goodwill out there. And I'm sure that they'll be, rewarded in some way, shape or form later on. So, just trying to help people or just continue to do the marketing activities that you were doing before can kind of work out. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yes. So I think one of the other untapped opportunities right now is community engagement and like one-on-one outreach. People are more willing than ever to talk to you if you are willing to be a human. So we've got one of my favorite Shopify apps is Repeat Customer Insights from Little Stream Software. And what captivates me about this thing is it sends you a daily email with a recap of the previous day's sales, but it tells you like, this is the percent that were new, this is the percent that returning, and then it'll tell you who your top customers are who just made another purchase. So like in this email, I literally saw, it's like, oh, Sarah J made her 48th purchase. Well, if you got somebody who's making 48 purchases, oh my gosh. So what we, for our clients that use that software, what we've been advising is go and personally reach out. Don't rely on the automation. Don't, use a template. Personally reach out to a few of those people every day and thank them. And it will mean the world to them. It will turn them, like, certainly if they're buying that much, they're already customers, but now they're brand evangelists. Now they're that like 1% loyal VIP customer. And if you get to that, I found a lot of merchants, their ideas of what their customers are and why they buy are really just best guesses. So I think now more than ever is the time to do some research. And when you have those best customers, reach out to them and go, hey, would you mind just talking to me for 15 minutes on the phone? I'd love to hear about your experience with the product. And if you can get that far, oh my gosh, you can even turn that into some social proof content. Like, let's say you do it over Zoom, like we're doing now, talking face-to-face via video. And they say something really amazing about the product. Like, oh, this style, I have cancer, I'm immunocompromised. This style has changed my life, where, I could comfortably interact with the ATM. You could then say, all right, well, hey, can I just record that and use that? And then you could, let's say if you get 3 to 5 of those, you could turn that into like an amazing, relevant, social proof type of ad that you share with people. I think that's a cool idea.
Yep. Yeah. You could also, turn that into an email and do a bunch of stuff with that.
Yes. So I think, now's an opportunity. There's a silver lining to this pandemic, and it's that all of us are kind of starved for human interaction by virtue of self-quarantining. So I have done more just really like genuine, heartfelt chats with people in the last 2 weeks than I've ever have before. So the same could be true if you approach it in a not sleazy way in your marketing.
Yep. Very true. And then, another thing too is if, this isn't as much of a tactic, but it's like, just getting all the stuff done that you just weren't doing before. Like, so all the, all the administrative stuff, all of the, anything that any tasks that you were looking to automate. For KeySmart in particular, we were in the middle of a new website build with you guys for EtherCycle, and we're kind of at the end. We're almost about to go live, and then we realized we have a ton of photography that we have to take. For us, it's really just right now we're just making sure that we're getting everything ready for when we, when we're back on full mode, right? So we're getting all of our product photography so that when we launch our new website with you, everything just looks, perfect, and we can just hit the ground running. So if you have any, any tasks or projects that maybe won't get you a sale today, but will kind of build up your infrastructure so you can get more sales later, then if you're seeing a downturn right now, right now is obviously the perfect time to do that.
Yeah, if you find yourself with some additional free time and you're not lucky in that you're in a position to quickly and easily pivot. Like my wife's business is in the travel industry. There's nothing really to pivot from travel, which is rough. So she's treating this as a time for where she can really double down on content marketing and audience building. So maybe you've had that podcast idea rattling around in the back of your head. All right, order yourself a Blue Yeti mic off Amazon. There has never been a better time to invest in good quality audio and start a podcast. So I think for some people, just falling back on list building, collecting emails, building that audience, that's going to be is going to help you recover significantly faster than the businesses that didn't engage in those activities, acted out of a place of fear and hunkered down and did nothing. We've got there's a Q&A question here. Muhammad asks, are you having trouble finding suppliers from China right now because of COVID-19?
No, not for us. No, not. So I kind of already addressed that. Is that
you had established relationships.
Well, we have established relationships, so that our established relationships. So there's a couple of things here. Yes, we are seeing that, on restocking of supplies, it's going to be a little bit longer than before, just because you had all the workers that were out. We also have new products that were in development, where the development phase has been there just weren't people in China to develop, that were working where we could develop. I'm sure that it's kind of similar to if you guys are following the new Apple iPhone is probably going to be delayed for several months because, they have to be really lock in step with the chip manufacturers and chip designers and then actual production, right? And so you have to, everything has to work together. And so if you were designing something and now people haven't been able to work on it, it's just going to push back everything. So for new products, we're definitely seeing a 4 to 8 week delay. And then also, I guess a lot of our suppliers are now moving. They're trying to move over into medical supplies. So I guess it could be.
I would imagine a lot of people are retooling.
Yeah, so it could be. It honestly could be more difficult for you to find suppliers right now. For us, we had suppliers and we already have good relations with it. So for us, no. But yeah, it has had some effect. So hopefully that answers your question.
Has it, as some of those suppliers retool and demand is changing, did it have any impact on your unit costs with suppliers, especially on these new development products that got pushed back?
Actually, I'm hearing that yes, that we are seeing some prices come up on us. That some things that were quoted at something and now they're coming up a little bit. I don't have full information on that. So, and I know that so we're getting, a lot of our suppliers have sent over like 500 masks or something like that. It's they're kind of like a welcome, and so I know the masks are going way up and expensive. So we had a supplier that was trying to sell us, not like they're telling us they can supply us with masks, and I know their prices keep going up every day. So yes, so I think it is going to affect us. Some components are going to be more expensive. Who knows how long this lasts, though? I really have no idea. So hopefully in the long run, it's not a huge problem.
Yeah, that's the hard part, is knowing when this ends. And even in terms of social climate, honestly, it feels a lot like the days post 9/11, where there has to be some event that down the line occurs and tells you, hey, it's okay, it's cool, things are safe and okay again. and that's when we'll see consumer confidence bounce back. But no one has a crystal ball. No one knows what that event will be or when it will be.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that I'm definitely no biologist, but I mean, I'm sure you've been watching the John Hopkins dashboard as well. And do you know what I'm talking about, the
Yes.
live dashboard? Yeah,
Yeah. It's very cool.
So yeah, it is a nice dashboard. Yeah, just watching that and looking at the growth numbers, especially in the United States, doesn't look like it's going to be over for a while. So it's nobody really knows what's happening, unfortunately. Not to get political, but you're getting certain different stuff from Trump every day, and then I live in Chicago. I've been I've been in lockdown for, I don't know, like a week, 2 weeks or something like that, it feels like. So it's who knows what's going on outside. I did go on a bike ride the other day, and there's a bunch of people just kind of walking around like all next to each other at the skate park, and I'm like, why are these people? But yeah, we're kind of jumping into other territories. So nobody knows how long it's going to last. Stay at home. So hopefully it doesn't last too much longer.
What would your number one piece of advice be to someone they've got an existing e-commerce business? Maybe it's been in a similar position as KeySmart, where it took a hit, but you're still going and operating.
Well, I guess my biggest piece. So I guess luckily enough, KeySmart's been around for 6 years now, I want to say, and we have a very healthy financial position. But we've had to go in and cut some PR agencies that we're working with, and we're cutting non-essential spends, right? So go in and make sure that you're keep spending where it makes sense. Don't just cut off ads if they're profitable, but if they're not profitable, scale back the spends and make sure you're not wasting any money. Figure out how much money you have in the bank and how much what your run rate looks like what your how long we're going to have to stay in business if sales really come down. And you might want to look at just how can we be as lean as possible right now. So besides financial stuff like that, assuming you're still in a good financial position, for like KeySmart, we're not making any layoffs because it honestly doesn't make financial sense right now. But we also wouldn't want to just lay off people in the middle of a crisis. But for us, we're just really doubling down on we're trying to pivot where we can, and then doubling down on activities that are going to pay off in the long run. So like you said, doing content, making sure automating processes. You could even be hiring virtual assistants and stuff like that to automate some of the processes, or somewhat automate some of the processes that have been taking up a lot of time. Cleaning up Amazon listings, doing all the stuff that you hate doing that you can find to do. I think when you were talking about your wife making more content, I thought it was funny because I heard somewhere that, I don't know if this is true, but somebody said that Shakespeare wrote King Lear when he was in a plague quarantine.
I heard that as well.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true, but
I accept it. It's true.
Yeah, I'll just continue to spread the lie if it's a lie. So, but yeah, it sounds good. So, basically, you could be writing, you could be a famous playwright, and you just don't even know it. So,
I think a lot of people are about to discover they needed more than just some free time to write the Great American Novel. Unfortunately,
yeah. They're like, well, what did they say in that webcast? So it's like, well, the guy said I should write a play right now.
Oh, good work. We were allotted 30 minutes. We're at 29 minutes. Recapping what you said, I think what I heard was like, all right, just to be prepared and just to give yourself some level of comfort, go through your expenses. And this is what I would do. Classify them as expense or investment. And that's what Andy was saying, where he's like, all right, if you've got ads and we're still working, don't cut it. That goes in the investment category. But if you've got there are plenty of SaaS subscriptions we all have that many of them, either we forgot about them or they're purely just for some minor convenience. Okay, those can go in the expense column. Maybe cancel them for a couple months until you see where we're at and how comfortable you are. It's still like I canceled my Audible $15 a month subscription, not because it's a big expense. It just made me feel good to do something. And I know I'm not commuting for a while, so I guess I don't need something to listen to on my commute. All right. Let me check if we have any other questions. Anything in the chat? No. Okay. Mr. Bedell, where could people go to learn more about you?
Yeah, I mean, if you just want to shoot me an email, if anybody, I do run a small advertising agency on the side where we do video production and we run ads for small, medium-sized businesses. So if you'd like any information on advertising, Facebook advertising, video production, you can go to discoverymarketing.io or just email me at Andy, A-N-D-Y, at discoverymarketing.io. And it's just how it went. So D-I-S-C, I can't even spell it. I could write it in the yeah, there it is. That's how you spell that. So you can email me there or go on to the website and fill out the form. Or if you'd like to, get a Keysmart or talk about Keysmart, you can always, you can always reach me on Twitter. I'm Andrew Bedell1 at Twitter. On Twitter, I don't really have very many followers. I probably shouldn't have said that because people are going to be embarrassed. But follow me on Twitter. Yeah, this would be a good time for me to get more followers on Twitter. Andrew Bedell1. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So yeah, follow me on Twitter. Feel free, if you can shoot me, DMs are open. So yeah, those are probably the best ways to get a hold of me.
Thank you so much.
And go ahead.
That's it. That's all I had to say. Thank you. This was fun, and it was different. So we really appreciate this session. It was very fun.
Cool. Happy to help. Happy to give it from my bedroom. Right?
For you guys. Thank you so much to everyone. And make sure to get in touch with them if you want to talk more. We're also going to get you on our Slack group. We'll talk more about that. So thank you. Have a great rest of the day, guys. See you in the next session.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
As an e-commerce manager, you want to stop spending money on expensive ads. OmniConvert Explore helps you improve conversion through A/B testing, personalization, and surveys. Understand that growth is also a matter of retention, not only acquisition. With OmniConvert Reveal, you'll understand segments, monitor customer experience, and nurture your customers on every channel.